We talked with Dianne Glasscoe Watterson about her column in the July 2011 issue of RDH magazine. The column is titled Survival Strategies. A hygienist named Tara wrote Dianne about a downturn in business at her dental practice. Although her schedule was full, the doctor's schedule was not. The hygienist's schedule was cut in half, and wrote Dianne about positioning herself for the future. Dianne's response was that the first place a hygienist such as Tara should check is the front desk. We asked Dianne to explain that, and here is her response.
Well, when the schedule starts falling apart and the demand for dental services is down right now, we have, in many situations, more capacity than we have demand. That means we have more appointment times than we're able to fill. Now, what I'm seeing in my client offices pretty much across the board is that the hygiene side is staying busy, but the doctor's schedule is seeing more openings than normal. And so some doctors, to compensate for this, they've been moving some hygiene over into their schedule to keep themselves full, which, I don't know how to remedy that other than to, first of all, look at the front desk and look at the system of how they fill openings in the schedule. Sometimes I think it's easy when the demand is down that people just get kind of a defeated attitude and they say, well, it's, I just couldn't fill the schedule, and they don't really look at their system for trying to fill the schedule. There are plenty of patients who fall through the cracks in dental offices for the most part. So they need to look at how they identify people who haven't been in, what verbiage do they use when they contact these people, and they need to have a ready source of people who haven't been in that need to be reactivated. It's a system in the practice, and many offices don't have a good system for reactivating people who've fallen through the cracks. And, I just think just get away from this defeated attitude that, people aren't coming in. Well, okay, I will agree that there is a problem with demand right now, but I don't like to use excuses, and I think when times get tough, the tough need to get going, get busy.
The staff or extra column usually contains suggestions for action from Dianne. This one is no exception. Here are Dianne's thoughts on steps dental hygienists can take in this economy.
Well, I'd like for hygienists to really think about the owner's position in the practice. If the hygienist could step out of the employee role just briefly and consider if this hygienist were actually the owner of the practice, what qualities would you as an owner, as a hygienist, as an owner, like to see in staff members who work there? And if so, do you have these qualities? And these qualities include things like promoting the practice and talking dentistry to patients, knowing how to talk about bleaching and implants and some of the elective services, to really be proactive, because a hygienist brings a lot more value to a practice than just the production that he or she produces there. Hygienists can have great indirect value in selling dental services. So that's one very important piece of it. Having an intraoral camera and knowing how to use it, and not consider that camera to be a nuisance, but that camera to be a tool to help patients understand what they need. Coming to work every day refreshed and ready to work hard, being a team member, all these things are an important part of enhancing the hygienist's value to the practice. Don't be a problem maker, be a problem solver. All these things are important. To step out of that employee role and look at, if you were the owner, what would you like to see in your staff members?
Dianne also offered this insight on how dental offices need to pause sometimes to evaluate practice management systems.
All right, one other thing I'd like to say, Mark, before we end our interview. My husband cuts trees and likes to saw wood, and we burn a little wood in the wintertime to help with our heating bill here. And sometimes as he's cutting, he has to just stop and turn the saw off and bring out his files and sharpen each tooth of that saw to make it saw better. It gets dull and it has to be sharpened. And it's pretty time consuming, when he has to sharpen the saw. Well, I think sometimes in dental practices we need to just stop and look at how we do things and see how can we do this better. We need to sharpen our saw, and especially during downtimes, it's an important aspect of practice management and learning to run things well.